everybody, and welcome to What the Hell Should I Watch? I'm Steve Stebbing, and we are the weekly rundown of what we're watching, which may become what you're watching, and we come at you every Friday at 9 a.m. Pacific Time on stevestebbing.ca. Chloe's sitting this week out, so let's just get ahead with what I got this week, which includes a little film that I think is the best of 2025. The new film from Canadian legend David Cronenberg, and a couple of heist-related films that you can stream right now. So let's get started. All right, I'm starting off a little unconventionally for stuff that's fresh this week because this is really, of the films that I'm reviewing this week, the newest film. So I got to give it props for being that. This is now out on digital through WellGo USA, and this is the third film in a Japanese series aimed at, I think, a younger audience. This is Baby Assassins 3, Nice Days. Teenage assassins Chisato and Mahiro visit the coastal city of Miyazaki when they unexpectedly cross paths with a bloodthirsty assassin who's looking to add to his personal body count. Starring Akari Takeshi, Saori Izawa, and Sosuke Ikematsu. Written and directed by Yugo Sakamoto. So, I think I've reviewed all three of these films by now, either on the radio or on this podcast, because I'm pretty sure I did part 2, which feels like a very short time ago. And this one feels even more like it feels flighty at best in the storytelling. This is basically our girls who are trying to take a vacation and then get tangled up in more murder. And besides the action, which is all like really well done, I would say that's the strong point of all of the Baby Assassins movies, is that they're very tight in all of the action sequences, and that's what kind of keeps you gripped. But the scenes in between go from oversaturated in melodrama, and then they range to almost silly and juvenile, and it's hard to find the direct tone that they're going for in this film. And that's kind of where they lost me. Getting into some nerdy stuff here, Saori Izawa, who plays Mahiro in this film, she did the stunts for John Wick Chapter 4. She also did some of the stunts in Snake Eyes and the Netflix series Alice in Borderland. And Sosuke Ikematsu was in a really great Hirokazu Kurita film called Shoplifters, which I freaking love and probably was one of my favorite films that year. I forget what year it came out, maybe 2017, 2018. But he was in The Last Samurai, the Edward Zwick film with Tom Cruise. He would have been probably about 12 or 13 when he was in that film. So it was a while ago. It's over 22 years old now at this point. So, but unless you're seeking, this is a very focused genre film. This is a goofy, quasi-bloody teenage hitman film. So you're either going to be into something like this or you're not. There's no in-between road on this. And unfortunately, I wasn't into all of it. So I kind of rank on the low side for it. Let's move on to a film that, without hyperbole, I can call one of the best films this year. It's one that upsets the apple cart of what I thought was my top 5 for the year so far. And it's a film that Bill from After the Credits told me would upset the apple cart. This is Sorry Baby. Something bad happened to Agnes, but life goes on, to everyone around her at least. Starring Eva Victor, Naomi Ackie, Louis Cancelmi, Kelly McCormick, Hal Tien Park, E.R. Fightmaster, Lucas Hedges, and John Carroll Lynch. Written and directed by Eva Victor. This is Eva Victor's debut film as just in general as a writer and director. And it landed very well at film festivals. When the film came out, I had my eyes on it for sure, but there's no place that it was playing that I could get to go see it. So I kind of had to wait until it was available for me. And all I was hearing was good news. Everyone, my friends that had seen it, and who's, I definitely, it piqued my interest when they said that it was one of their favorite films of the year so far. So highly regarded films by my friends make them highly regarded films for me. So I was just waiting and waiting, and finally I got it. And Eva Victor is incredible in front of the camera, just as she is behind it. This story crafts is so real. There's moments that feel like a real person, that like this doesn't feel like a Hollywood glossy drama at all. This feels like somebody dealing with a hugely traumatic event. And I commend her for doing this in a way that doesn't sensationalize or controversialize the actual act itself within the movie. It is handled far better than it usually is when it comes to sexual assaults and everything. So I was really blown away by that. Naomi Ackie, again, is an absolute treasure every time she's on screen. I was reminded, I felt like, how long has it been since I've seen Lucas Hedges in anything? Because it feels like there's been big gap in my viewing experiences of not seeing him. So maybe I'll flash the last time I saw him on screen now. So I feel like it's been a bit. Also, John Carroll Lynch has a really, really fantastic one scene, but it's a really, really beautiful scene that I absolutely loved. And yeah, I think this is just a phenomenal, phenomenal film. Let's get into the nerdy bits about this film. It was shot by Leah Oyang Rusley, who does a lot of work with comedian Julio Torres, comedian creator Julio Torres. So Problemista and Phantasmas was scored by Rusley. So that I enjoy both of those. They're so completely odd in their own little ways, and I totally dig them for that. And also, this Sorry Baby was shot by Mia Siofi Henry, who shot the music video for one of my youngest daughter's favorite songs, Mitski's Washing Machine Heart. So I thought that would be fun to bring up. Also, prior to making this film, Eva Victor shadowed Jane Schoenbrunn on her film, on the set of her film, I Saw the TV Glow, which is excellently crafted film that I give high marks, but I feel like it's not a film for me, but a very interesting film. Also, Barry Jenkins, who produced this film, first met Eva after following her on Instagram. Victor later followed him back, with Jenkins later messaging her saying she can send over scripts to the production company Pastel if she ever writes anything. Victor later said that Jenkins saw her as a director before she even herself saw herself as one. Wow, I was stumbling over my words there real bad. He later added that her comedic work on social media is directing, even if she didn't see it as that. Also, the official release of this film in Russia was July 24th, and it ended just a week later, less than a week later, due to a decision by the Russian Ministry of Culture, saying that there was no official reason given for the revocation of the distribution certificate. So they say that they can, due to a law that was passed, they can provide refusal to issue a distribution certificate for films with materials that discredit or deny traditional spiritual or moral values. whatever the fuck that means. That was just an extreme mouthful. And I apologize to you, the viewer, more for hearing it. But essentially, Sorry Baby is banned in Russia, which is sorry, baby. That's really sad for them, in my opinion. But I will say that this film, I will be talking about it again on the show when it comes to our list of the best movies of the year, unless drastic films come along to knock it off the perch, because especially as a first feature and character comedy drama, which is something that I really gravitate towards in what I love. Sorry Baby had it all for me, and I can't wait to see what comes next from the brainchild of Eva Victor. All right, let's move on to one of the Canadian masters, but he's a Canadian master that's really an international master. And I just call him international because I feel like he's so much bigger than just the country of Canada. Like, he is a gift to cinema as a whole, and I think he's beloved around the globe. But he's David Cronenberg, and I feel like he's exploring some different things in his aging. This is The Shrouds. Karsh, an innovative businessman and grieving widower, builds a device to connect with the dead inside a burial shroud. Starring Vincent Cassel, Diane Kruger, Guy Pearce, and Sandrine Holt. Written and directed by David Cronenberg. So you have Vincent Cassel, who runs a burial company as well as a restaurant, and the two are actually connected. And basically, he has made a new technology which you can monitor loved ones as they decay within their burial shroud. And it explores a lot of areas that I feel like Cronenberg has before. It explores a longing and an inability to disconnect from your loved one that he has explored in a lot of films before. It explores a grotesque and a beauty in the grotesque, because a lot of this film kind of reminded me of Crash in the more grotesque natures. It involves like an AI, so I feel like there's an existence quality to some of it. I feel like a lot of Cronenberg's filmography bled into making The Shrouds. And this is coming from a person, like, I enjoyed Crimes of the Future. Like, I owned it on Blu-ray. Like, I dug the film as a whole. And there's a lot of people that very much dislike this film. And but enjoyed The Shrouds. And for me, I kind of almost put the Shrouds and Crimes of the Future on the same level ish to a certain degree. I enjoy Vigo's performance in Crimes more than I enjoyed Vincent Cassel's performance in The Shrouds. Diane Kruger is really great in this film. Interesting to know that it was supposed to be Léa Seydoux instead of Diane Kruger, which would have been interesting as well, because I very much enjoy Léa. And this one also might be one of the more positive Cronenberg films, a film that ends on more of a upbeat notion than he's ever done, to my recollection. Like, Crimes of the Future has a little bit of an upbeat to it, but it's like still a very dire and dour future. Like, you're not heading in a great direction. But I feel like The Shrouds has maybe some optimism to it, which is a little bit rare to see in David Cronenberg's work. So maybe the old man's softening a bit in his later years. I'm interested to see like what the late films of Cronenberg are and what he has left in the tank to give us. And I also feel him straying further and further away from horror and from thriller and stuff like that, but also still keeping the grotesque turned to 11 like he usually does. Let's get into the nerdy shit on this film. The score of this one is done by his usual guys, Howard Shore. I mean, Howard Shore has done Scorsese, Fincher. Howard Shore is an absolute legend. I mean, Lord of the Rings trilogy, and of course Hobbit and all those movies. Dogma for Kevin Smith, High Fidelity even for Stephen Frears, which is not a movie you think Howard Shore would be doing the score on that one, but it has a Howard Shore score. I know, I didn't feel good saying it when I was saying it. The film was shot by Douglas Koch, who Cronenberg hadn't really worked with before, but had previously just shot Humane for Caitlin Cronenberg. So keeping it in the family, using the cinematographer again. But besides that, Koch did The Grand Seduction with Brendan Gleeson and Taylor Kitsch, which is a really, really great film. And Canadian Don McKellar classic, Last Night. Douglas Koch shot that film, and that is to Canadiana and Canadian film that is on the Hall of Fame all-timer list of greatest Canadian films ever, without a doubt. But I say for interest in the Shrouds, if you're a Cronenberg fan, you're going to watch it anyway. If you're a cinema fan, you're going to watch it just because the name Cronenberg is attached to it, and it means something to cinema still to this very day. It's one of the names that inspired filmmaking and filmmakers for decades now. So it's just a given. But if you're just looking for something, this one is odd. It's a weird one. It's dealing with weird obsessions and weird fascinations. And like I said, Cronenberg's body horror still is a factor in it, if not so overtly. This one does it more subtly or lovingly because it's dealing with dead loved ones and stuff. There's something different to the way he's portraying it this time around. And maybe the way he's portraying it this time might be easier digestible to a larger, broader audience. Who knows? All right, let's move on to what you can stream right now. I'm really excited to talk about this one because it's a film that honestly came out of nowhere. I think I knew about it within 3 weeks of getting the screener sent to me by the wonderful people at Disney. And watching it, I had so much fun and a little bit of sadness that it didn't have the oomph to get a theatrical run. But this is Eenie Meenie. A reformed teenage getaway driver is dragged back into her unsavory past when a former employer offers her a chance to save her chronically unreliable ex-boyfriend. Starring Samara Weaving, Carl Glusman, Jermaine Fowler, Marshawn Lynch, Randall Park, Steve Zahn, and Andy Garcia. Written and directed by Sean Simmons. So this movie is a hell of a lot of fun because it's got a good punchy script to it, well filmed action, and solid car chases that kind of remind you of, well, for me, for my generation, it will remind you of the car chase films from the 70s and 80s, and it has those kind of beats to it. And Samara Weaving is such a delightful actress to watch on screen. I mean, she did it really well with Ready or Not. And I mean, I wish there was more of her for Scream, that she wasn't just victim number one for the last movie. But I enjoy watching her work. There is some really great Andy Garcia stuff in this one, who comes into the film and chews the scenery as her former boss and current nemesis. Michael Malley, who doesn't get named in that opening crawl, and Chris Bauer, who are two TV guys who I've enjoyed for years. Always turn in some fun side characters, as they do in this one. And I think Carl Glussman might have a bit of a career ahead of him playing troubled people and people that probably shouldn't be given a chance, because he seems to eat that kind of character up quite well. I really dug him in this movie as well. If you're looking for like a good crime double cross film, then Eeny Meeny is definitely something worth checking out. Nerdy stuff in this one. Sean Simmons, who wrote and directed this film, largely known for the Adult Swim series Mr. Pickles, which I heard a lot about, but I never actually checked out myself. The score for this one is credited to the Haxon Cloak, who is also known as Bobby Krillick, who I talked about recently on this show with Ari Aster's film Eddington. He did the score for that one. So another one of his popping up this time. The film was shot by Tim Ives, who shot the film Are You There, God? It's Me, Margaret, and also did a lot of episodes of the shows Girls, for Lena Dunham, Stranger Things, the Netflix phenomenon that's coming back for season 5, and How to Make in America, a HBO show that only got 2 seasons. I think it was 2. I don't think it got a 3rd season. I think it was only 2 seasons, and I loved this show, and it was done by the producers of Entourage, including Julian Farino, and I always really, really liked it. And apparently, HBO didn't know how much I loved that show, but it was really, really good. Also, he shot some really iconic music videos. He did the Beastie Boys videos. Check it out. And Jerry Cantrell's My Song, as well as for Canadian audiences and Canadian listeners, he did the music video for the Tea Party's Temptation, which is killer back from the 90s. But Eeny Meeny, you're probably going to fall on it when you're searching through your Disney Plus, which is where it's streaming. And I highly, highly recommend checking it out, because I think it is a solid, solid watch. And Samara Weaving deserves to be a star, and hopefully Ready or Not 2, when that comes out, it hits big, because it's got a built-in audience to it, and then people can bask in the glory once again of the great Samara Weaving, because she is so, so, so great. One more streaming one, and in quality, sorry folks, we're going downhill, but Amazon thought it was going to be a really great idea to pair up Eddie Murphy and Pete Davidson to these results. This is The Pickup. A routine cash pickup turns into a deadly pursuit when 2 mismatched armored truck drivers are ambushed by ruthless criminals with plans beyond the cash. Starring Eddie Murphy, Pete Davidson, Eva Longoria, and Keke Palmer. Directed by Tim Story. So, yeah, Eddie Murphy doesn't do too many movies these days. It feels like they are few and far between most of the time. And I have to say, the trip down Prime Video lane for one of the former greatest comedic actors of all time is not going well, because much like Coming to America, the sequel for Coming to America, this film is a big old dud too, and mostly it's just boring for whatever it's trying to do. None of the character stuff works. It completely wastes Keke Palmer in an antagonist role at first that I don't think any of us wanted to see her in, and especially after seeing One of Them Days to kick off 2025, which is one of the funniest comedies this year, to see her like slum it in this film is so, so sad. And Eddie doesn't even look like his heart's in it. Pete Davidson's doing the usual Pete Davidson thing that he does when they say, give us Pete Davidson. And then he just does exactly that. So it's hard to even grade that, but the film just feels like a large nothing, completely forgettable. Uh, let's get nerdy here. Some of the other actors that pop up in this one that weren't in that description there, Jack Kesey, who was the new Hellboy in a film that pretty much went direct to DVD that I have never seen myself. Even if you have, a comment below and tell me if it's any good or if I should just still keep avoiding it. Andrew Dice Clay, like classic comedian Andrew Dice Clay, and you have to think Friends with Eddie for a while. Andrew Dice Clay is in this one. It's been a while since I've seen him. Marshawn Lynch, who seems to be popping up in so much these days, having a busy career after football. And Roman Reigns.
Acknowledge me.
Roman Reigns, the OTC, who we acknowledge on this show. If Chloe was here, I'd make her do this too. We acknowledge him on this show. But not used enough. But we'll soon see him in Street Fighter, which I'm starting to see set photos of, and I'm getting kind of excited about it. Hopefully it's solid. But until then, we'll have Mortal Kombat 2 to tide us over, which also looks like a hell of a lot of fun. And Carl Urban as Johnny Cage. Hell yes. But the movie was written by Kevin Burrows and Matt Mider, who did a film called The Package for Netflix that looks like an entertaining-ish teen coming of age teen movie that I may give a chance to in the future. It's by no means on any fast track list for me to watch right now, though. The score was done by Christopher Lennertz, who did the scores for Alvin and the Chipmunks, for all you millennial kids out there that saw the Jason Lee live actioning of Alvin and the Chipmunks with Justin Long as Alvin. Also, Barb and Star Go to Vista Del Mar, which is a hilarious pandemic era released film that I feel like nobody saw that people should see because it's some of Kristen Wiig's greatest comedy work in film, and you just really got to see it to believe it. I feel like I bring that film up a lot as well. Also, The Absurd Sausage Party, which by extension means that he did the score for the film as well as both seasons, as the new season is out now as well on Prime Video. Also, coincidentally, where you can get the pickup. So, of course, by extension, he also did The Boys and Gen V, being a Prime Video guy. But he also did a shitload of the Supernatural episodes. So he was a tried, tested, and true guy when it comes to network television for sure. Because I think it was like something like 145 episodes of Supernatural that he did, which is solid stuff. The film was shot by Larry Blanford, who did the Rob McKittrick film Tag with a hell of a cast. That movie, I think, is super underrated. It's pretty dumb, and the fact that it's based on a true story is totally absurd, but that cast is so deep, and they make it so fun, and it's all thanks to McKittrick, who wrote Waiting as well. He just knows how to write well for a good ensemble team. Also shot the series Heels with Stephen Amell, which is one of the only dramatic series about wrestling and wrestlers that I've ever seen. And I was really sad that it was canceled after 2 seasons, especially with that cliffhanger ending. I can't believe they did that to us. And they tried to shop it around and nobody would buy it. It was stars and stars alone to live and die by, I guess. So anyway, that's my little bit about Heels. A fun fact, in this movie, Pete Davidson's playing with the music and ends up turning on the Pointer Sisters song Neutron Dance, which is actually included in 2 of the Beverly Hills Cop movies. The first film and the most recent film that's on Netflix, Axel F. So that's some fun facts about a pretty fucking bland movie that I just felt like it was wasting my time, and it was just making them richer and me time poorer. And it was a real bummer. It was a real bummer. Well, let's cheer everybody up with what's new to the library. This one's really cool. It's brand new this week. It's coinciding with the release of what they're saying is the final Conjuring movie, Last Rites. This is the Conjuring 4K, the complete remastering of a film that's not super old. It's 2013. It's not super old, but it's getting the full 4K treatment. This movie, sound design, visually, the atmosphere of this film is brilliant. Just an absolute brilliant treat. So to get a revamped version of that is very cool. So I'm very excited to dig all into that again and then put it up on the shelf to admire later. But that is what is new this week. And let's get to some reminders before we head out of here. This week on 4K, and actually if you get the 4K of this one, you get it in a steelbook because Disney is really trying to hook you up on this one, but it is Lilo and Stitch, the remake. This is about a week before it'll be available on Disney Plus for everybody to watch, because I think it's September 3rd it'll be out on streaming, but this is for the collector's edition, and it's a movie that honestly I didn't hate as much as Chloe did. I reviewed it on the May 30th episode. You can go back and check out my review. And Chloe reviewed it on the July 25th episode. So you can check that out there. And also out this week and on 4K is Karate Kid Legends, a quick hour and 25 of some fun nostalgia, some great action sequences, and a movie that makes you feel like, yeah, I could do a little bit more Karate Kid. I just wish it was more tied into the Cobra Kai series as well. And I think maybe that was the downfall, and maybe that's something that would be corrected in a future movie. But is this the last time we see any of these characters? And I have no idea. But I reviewed this film on the June 6th episode, so you can check it out there. Also out this week in physical media, although only in DVD only, thanks to Canadian distributors, because it is not available in the States yet. Locked is out with Bill Skarsgård and Anthony Hopkins. This is the new film from David Yarovesky, who did Brightburn, and it is a solid little thriller, a complete surprise to me. I thought it was going to be sheer crap, especially because it had no kind of fanfare behind it. And I had to dig to find out who directed it. Well, usually they would lead with that kind of stuff. But we both reviewed it on the July 18th episode pretty recently. So check that one out there. Let's get a taste of what we might talk about next week. Right, a taste of next week for sure. I have my ticket for The Roses, which I am going to see on Thursday. It is the remake of War of the Roses, the classic film with Kathleen Turner and Michael Douglas. This one has Benedict Cumberbatch and Olivia Colman. I like both of them. It feels like an odd thing to see an early screening of, but here we are. I do know for a fact both of these are playing in my local theater, so I'm hoping to see them for next week's episode. But Caught Stealing is going to be playing in my local theater with Austin Butler, a film from Darren Aronofsky that does not look like a Darren Aronofsky film. It is a comedy, and I'm so baffled by this. Also, The Toxic Avenger. Yes, it is playing in my town, and I can see it. I'm so excited for this. Macon Blair is a really, really great filmmaker, and I'm excited to see the carnage, the sheer carnage that he's going to bring to this film. I'm so excited for it. Also, Alex Russell has a new film called Lurker. It is, as of yet, not playing in my area. I'm hoping to obtain maybe a media screener or something to see it. It looks really, really great. It has Theodore Pellerin in it. And it looks like a really interesting story about obsession. And Scared Shitless, a little independent horror film that's got Steve Ogg from the Grand Theft Auto. Yes, crystal meth addict Trevor. Steve Ogg is in this film, and it's basically, it looks like about toilet monsters, and I am totally into that. And it's a film called Scared Shitless. Like, how am I not into that? It is playing in Kelowna. I just have to drive to it, and I'm hoping to get to it. But Relay and Honey Don't are both on the horizon for me to watch. I don't know if I'll get to them next week, but I want to. As well as a Canadian film, Shook. I still have a screener for it. Life's just busy. I don't know what to tell you. It just gets crazy sometimes. Chloe is going to be back. She has her thoughts on the Philippou brothers Bring Her Back that she wants to talk about. And she has what she's teasing as something scathing to say about War of the Worlds. And yeah, we're talking about that new Ice Cube one. I'm not hearing good things. I'm glad that she's going to say stuff because let's be honest, I'm never going to watch that fucking movie. Never. Also, you know it. Will I talk about it? Will I talk about Bridget Jones and her being mad at the boy, or the Ballad of Wallace Island? I'd say the money is more on Ballad of Wallace Island at this point, but maybe I'll get to it next week. Who knows? Who really knows? But that brings us to a close for this week. You can find me on Twitter, Instagram, Letterboxd, Threads, and Blue Sky at The Stevel Dead. You can find Chloe on Letterboxd at HoneyBunChloe. You can also find all of the episodes of this show on stevestebbing.ca or look us up on YouTube. Just look up Steve Stebbing or The Stevel Dead. And we're on shiftheads.ca. You can hear me at a few different places. You can check me out on After the Credits with Marina, Bill, and Melissa. Our latest episode is on weapons. And you can hear me on Tremble, the Horror Podcast with Taylor and Kurt. And our latest episodes are on Resolution and The Endless from Justin Benson and Aaron Moorhead, two of the greatest minds working in film today. Just saying. And you can also hear me on Shane Hewitt and the Night Shift every Friday at 8 p.m. Eastern Time on Toronto's News Talk 1010, found on the iHeartRadio network. And if you want that in podcast form, just search it up where you get your podcasts. Well, that empties out our list for this week. So until next week, bye-bye.